The St. Paul Police Department is more than 160 years old, making it the oldest police organization in the state.
Now a group of mostly retired officers are keeping all of that history alive. In this week's Maury's Stories, Maury Glover introduces us to the department's Historical Society.
Walk into the St. Paul Police Department's Western District, and one of the first things you'll see is a display featuring a mannequin on a horse dressed in a police uniform from the late 1800s. Then there's an actual police wagon from 1897 that used to haul criminals off to jail. And the motorcycle cop next to an old-fashioned traffic officer with the manual lamp they used to control traffic before electric streetlights.
Yeah, that's about a 1910 or somewhere around 1910 bicycle. And it's got wooden wheels, wooden rims.
Most of the work in these scenarios, including this one of a bicycle cop in front of the View down Wabasha Avenue at the beginning of the 20th century, was done by retired forensic artist Paul Johnson.
I like keeping history alive. People should see these things, you know, because it's part of the history of the St. Paul Police Department.
He's one of 16 members of the St. Paul Police Department's Historical Society who were honored last week.
This is a special day for the St. Paul Police Department, a special day for me personally to be able to thank each and every one of you members of the St. Paul Police Historical Society.
One by one,
Kate Cavett, retired Captain Larry McDonald, Pamela Mono.
The department employees, retired officers, and civilian volunteers, some of whom were dressed in vintage police attire, joined Chief Todd AXTELL at the podium to receive the Chief's Award.
Who have really done an incredible job of preserving our past, because when we preserve our past and we know our history well, it really allows us to be thoughtful about where we're heading. So I want to thank each and every one of you for that.
The Historical Society started back in 2006 to preserve and promote the history of policing in St. Paul.
Our purpose is to try to, well, not only collect the police artifacts, you know, the memorabilia, but also to pass on the history.
They've collected thousands of items from the department's past, most of which are on display in a museum on the second floor of police headquarters.
Uniforms, badges, paperwork, manuals, things like that.
Like a padlock from the first jail built in St. Paul in 1851, before Minnesota was officially a state. Or a piece of fabric from a chair in gangster John Dillinger's apartment when he was injured in a shootout with police. Or the call box the police used before they had radios or cell phones to communicate with headquarters through a teletype machine.
The officer, if he had somebody who was inebriated or arrest, he could handcuff the person around the post here, and then what he could do is just simply send in the call box number 341, and that would go into a paper punch at a station there.
The Historical Society has also made displays about the world's first official school crossing program in 1921 and the nation's second K-9 unit in 1958.
When I came on the police department, I thought, this is the dumbest bunch of people I've ever seen. You got an auto theft, and the person that stole the car would take off, and we get out with flashlights and look around. I thought, God, what a good dog. I could find somebody like that.
The group also created a wall of honor, which lists the name of every St. Paul police officer killed in the line of duty, and constructed the memorial bell, which is rung at the funeral of every fallen officer in the state.
It's satisfying to look back and see how we operated before, and we thought we were successful, but look at today, how much more we can do.
In the end, the society hopes preserving the department's past will make for a brighter future.
I think it's important because you have to remember what happens today is history tomorrow. And as we look towards the future, towards the tomorrows, you have to remember from whence you came.
In St. Paul, Maury Glover, Fox 9 News.